Hello, my name is Wayne Alexander, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to create a workflow within a document library in SharePoint 2010. I'm going to be using my demo system to show you this. So we'll delve straight in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate over to the one of my document libraries that I set up earlier. And within the document library tab, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the library tab and then the workflow settings icon. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a workflow. Okay, now what this screen gives you the ability to do is select a workflow template. So what I'm going to do is I've got two options here, which is deposition approval or publishing approval. We're going to set up an example where users will have the ability to upload a document to a SharePoint library, but then it's got to go through an approval process for actually publishing that document. So I'm going to go ahead and select publishing approval. System expects you to type a name for your workflow. Try and be as descriptive as possible. So I'm just going to say just typing in there publish applications team document approval. Now what the system also allows you to do is allows you to select a task list to use with this particular workflow. So in other words, when you create the workflow, a task would be created. Now you have the ability to create a task for individuals or to an entire group of people. What this option here allows you to do is just to select that a new task will be created. If I scroll down here, you also have the history lists for this particular workflow. And what would happen is a history list will be created every time this workflow has been triggered and used. I've only got one option in there at the moment, so I'm just going to leave it on workflow history new. Now with a workflow, you have the ability to make a workflow automatic if you choose. And what that means is if you're making the workflow automatic, you would tell the system to start this workflow when a new item is created, so that would trigger the workflow to actually start working, or start this workflow when an item is changed. So you've got the option to choose if you want to make this an automatic workflow. You will notice by default what's ticked is actually allow this workflow to be manually started by an authenticated user with edit item permissions. I'm going to leave that as is. I'm going to make this a manual process, manual workflow, so that when the document's uploaded, they would then have to go ahead and select that workflow. Just going to go ahead and click next. And as I click next, what the system is doing in the background is it's going ahead and gathering this information together to actually start building the workflow in the background. Just wait a couple of seconds for that to go through. Okay, so we've given the fundamentals of our workflow. We told the system that we've given the workflow a name. We said that we picked the template type that we wanted to use. We told the system that it's going to be a manual workflow and that a new task would be created. Now we need to say who the approvers of this particular workflow will be. I'm going to put in myself here, so I'm just going to type in there Wayne Alexander and check my name. So I'm basically telling the system that I'm going to be an approver of this. I could, if I wanted to, have put in a team or a group that had been set up as well, but for this example I'm just going to leave it as myself. You could put in a due date for all the tasks that had been created, or a duration for the tasks as well. Exactly like a task that's being created in Outlook, you can give it a specific time when it needs to be popped open. You can also set the amount of times until the amount of time until a task is actually gonna due, and it gives you the duration of days, weeks, or months. Okay. Um, you can also select to automatically reject the document if it's rejected by any participant, or you can automatically reject the document if it's been changed before the workflow has been completed. I'm gonna go ahead and select automatically reject the document if the change been made before the workflow has been completed. Last but not least, you can update the approval status after the workflow is completed, um, and this could be used to control the content for approval. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Just waiting for that to go through, and that workflow has now been completed. So the workflow has now been completed. You can see we've got the workflow name there. The system would now record the amount of times this workflow has actually been used, or that's in progress as we speak. What I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to show you what would happen if a user was to use this particular workflow. So I'm just going to go back to my document library. Let's pretend that I'm logged in as another person. They can select their document, hit the workflows button, and what would happen is there is the workflow that that we just created. So they can go ahead and select that workflow. They can put in a due date for the task, a duration for the task, and the duration units, or they could just go ahead and hit start. And now that it's gone through the approval process, where it will get sent to myself, Wayne Alexander, for me to approve to say whether it can go on and get published or not. Okay, so what I just done there was I showed you a quick way to create workflows within a document library. Thank you.